Right, good morning and welcome to Premier League Review, a fan's take, with me, Steve from Teesside Ste&Dee. Let's start with Saturday's results. Nottingham Forest 7, Brighton 0. Who would have seen that coming? I mean, Chris Wood's having an absolutely amazing season. Another hat-trick for him and 17 goals in the Premier League this season. His best ever return. But Brighton absolutely swept aside by a very rampant Nottingham Forest side right now. After they got that drubbing at Bournemouth, my word, did they come back fighting with an unbelievable 7-0 win against Brighton. Brighton's defence were all over the place. It was very unlike Brighton. And I think a lot of people were quite shocked with that result at the weekend. I did expect Forest to probably edge it, but certainly not by 7-0. Next, Newcastle 1, Fulham 2. Newcastle, the wheels have come off a little bit, lost the last two home league games. Fulham are a little bit of an inconsistency, aren't they? They seem to win one and lose one, but Marco Silva's got them really firing. He's a bit of a misery, Marco Silva. I can't never seem to smile much. But I don't think Newcastle got anything to panic about. I think Newcastle will get it back on track. Fulham are always a very difficult team to play against, but a superb result for Fulham away from home at Newcastle. I had that down as a draw, funny enough, so that was a little bit of a shock. Ipswich 1, Southampton 2, absolute disaster for Ipswich. They really needed to win this one to give themselves any chance, I think, of giving them a hope of sneaking out of the bottom three before the end of the season. Southampton, yes, they've gained 3 points, but they've gained absolutely nothing, really. They're on 9 points. They're so far adrift, there's no way that they're going to be staying in the Premier League. I think they're already down and probably preparing for next season. But an absolute disaster for Ipswich. Liam Delap, can't see him being there next season. He's too good for Ipswich Town. He's scoring goals, isn't he? And I'm sure there'll be some big boys coming for him. He's a big strapping lad, holds the ball up well. So I don't see Liam Delap being Ipswich next season. Everton 4, Leicester City 0. I expected Everton to win, to be honest, but I didn't expect them to win by 4-0. David Moyes, as I said last week, I think he's galvanised this team, and Everton are back to where people would have expected Everton to be. They're now well clear of the relegation. I think 9 points clear of the relegation zone now. Fantastic home win for Everton, and well done Beto. He's really struggled since he went to Everton, and those 2 goals will give him a hell of a lot of confidence moving forward, especially with Dominic Calvert-Lewin being out for some considerable length of time. So well done to Everton. And David Moyes, I like David Moyes. I'm a big fan of David Moyes. I think he's the right choice to go back to Everton, and I'm sure Everton will be fine and will go into their spanking new stadium next year in the Premier League. Bournemouth 0, this was a good one, wasn't it? Bournemouth 0, Liverpool 2. Didn't know really what to expect here. I thought if anyone's going to beat Liverpool, it could have been Bournemouth, because Bournemouth have been on such an unbelievable run. And I've said such a small fan base, but what an incredible achievement this season from Bournemouth, and last year as well, of course. Did really, really well. But Liverpool again, who else but Mo Salah with another 2 goals and 2 unbelievably good goals. The second one was incredible. He's really good at turning them in off his left foot, isn't he? And Liverpool really needed that result just to keep themselves in that dominant position at the top of the Premier League. But Bournemouth have got absolutely no worries. I think they'll have a fantastic season. Can they make Europe? Who knows? You know, we've seen stranger things happen, like Leicester winning the title 8 or 9 years ago, so you never know, do you? And then Wolverhampton 2, Aston Villa 0. I actually wasn't shocked by this one, because Wolverhampton Wanderers are a decent on new manager. He seems to have galvanised them pretty well. Cunha signed a new long-term contract. That will have given them an absolute massive boost, because there was certainly talk of him leaving. I'm pleased he's not. He's a really talented player. Can't see him long-term being at Wolves, but he signed a new contract for now. Aston Villa's record after European nights has been dismal all season, and it continued at the weekend. Wheels have come off a little bit for Aston Villa, but this happens with teams in Europe who are not so much your massive teams like your Arsenals and your Man Cities. Villa in Europe for the first time in a long time, and to get beaten again wasn't a surprise. And it's just a typical, it happened to Middlesbrough, my team, many years ago. They struggled in the league as a result of their successes in the Cups, getting to a European final. So it seems to be a common theme when teams get into Europe. Their league form tends to drop off, and it didn't at the beginning of the season. That Villa were flying in Europe and in the league, but just a bit of a wobble for Villa right now. Very shocked at selling John Duran, who's such a great striker, but who's going to turn down £57 million, to be perfectly honest. And then moving on to Sunday's result. Another dismal day for Amorim and Manchester United. Man United 0, Crystal Palace 2. Crystal Palace, after such a terrible start of the season, they've really turned the corner and are in a nice position now, nice and comfortable mid-table. Man United just continue to falter, don't they? And it's a long, big job for Amorim to turn Man United around. And I don't think it's going to happen anytime soon. I don't see Man United finishing where they are in the table. I do see them finishing inside the top 8 or 9 by the end of the season. But a terrible day again at the office for Manchester United yesterday. Massive result for Postecoglou and Tottenham Hotspur at Brentford. I expected a draw in this one, but Brentford did miss a hell of a lot of good chances in the game. Tottenham were very solid at the back, considering they've got no recognised centre-backs. Young Archie Gray and young Spence, again, doing a fantastic job at the back. Spence deservedly got the man of the match for me. He had a great game. And Ben Davies, who's getting on a little bit, who's normally a left-back, did a really good job in that left centre-back position, and a massive result for Postecoglou. It doesn't take away the problems that they've got. Tottenham, I think, would have been in the top 4 this season, but they've been so decimated with injuries that they've had no defence, and it shows. But yesterday, great result for them. And then, well, what about the big one yesterday afternoon at 4:30? We were all looking forward to this one. Arsenal 5, Man City 1. Didn't see that coming. Again, I had this down as a draw because Man City had sort of turned the corner a little bit and were getting some results. And Arsenal were faltering in front of goal. Well, they certainly didn't falter yesterday. They probably should have had more, to be perfectly honest. Havertz had a golden opportunity in the first half, which he missed. But what a fantastic goal he got in the second half. And Arsenal just completely tore them apart in the second half. Man City had no answers whatsoever. Great header goal from Haaland, but it meant nothing. And a superb result for Arsenal. And Man City, a little bit erratic at the moment. So I say I didn't expect that result yesterday. And there we go. That's the roundup of the results for the weekend. Let's have a look at the league table. Well, Liverpool out in front by 6 points and a game in hand. So you would pretty much say they're probably going to be 9 points realistically clear. Arsenal in second, 50. Nottingham Forest 47. Then there's a bit of a drop then to Man City on 41. Forest doing really well. Can I see them staying there? Hopefully for the Forest fans. Yeah, I hope they do. I hope they can stay in that top 6 or 7 and get themselves into Europe next season. But will they encounter the same problems as Aston Villa have this season? As I said, Villa have dropped off. Newcastle are still holding on to 5th. Same points as Man City. So I don't think there's any fear there for Newcastle. I think they'll probably finish in the top 6 or 7 this season. Chelsea, far better season obviously than last year, but the wheels have come off somewhat there as well. And they're sitting on 40 points in 6th place. And then, of course, I blew the trumpet of Bournemouth earlier on, and I'll continue to do so. 7th place on 40 points. Magnificent achievement for such a small club. Well done, Bournemouth. Villa down now on 37 points, and to think they were right up there just maybe 2 months ago. They've sort of really lost it somewhat. And again, I think that's down to the European exploits. Fulham, as I said, they're doing okay. 36 points. Marcus Silva, a little bit of inconsistency, but he seems to have them round about mid-table every season. That's a really good achievement for Fulham Football Club. Brighton have fallen away somewhat on 34 points, but they've got a very young manager who's got his own ideas on how to play. And I think Brighton will do okay. They're certainly not in any relegation worries, are they? I think the bottom three is probably going to stay the bottom three. Brentford, fine. Palace, fine. 31, 30 points respectively. Man United, 29 points from 24 games. That's quite alarming, isn't it? Man United just barely a point a game is quite shocking for a club the size of them. Tottenham, they really needed them 3 points yesterday. That's pulled them about 10 points clear the relegation zone. So that's a huge thing for them on 27 points. Hopefully they can get these defenders back, get some other players back, and start climbing up that table. I think they will, but I think they're probably going to get best at 10th place. West Ham, they don't look in any worries either. Everton pulling away as well now in 16th. I know they're still very low down, but 9 points above the relegation zone, and I think they'll move on now. I think Everton will be absolutely fine. Wolverhampton, massive result for them, because if they hadn't got that at the weekend, they would have been in the bottom three, but they're just sitting above the bottom three. For me, they're too good to go down. They've got some great players. I see Wolverhampton climbing. They won't climb the table because they're already 7 points behind Everton in 16th, but Wolverhampton, I think, will be absolutely fine. And then I said, the bottom three of Leicester, Ipswich and Southampton, I see that staying as that. Leicester are leaking goals for fun. Ipswich blew it at the weekend. They could have been out the top three, out the bottom three. Sadly, lost to Southampton. They were rock bottom with 9 points. And that is the summary of the league table and the results this weekend. Have a great day, everybody.